Hi guys, welcome to AQL Webinars. Today we're going to talk about SharePoint Hub Sites and how to implement them. A little about me, my name is Samir Mohammed and I'm the SharePoint Principal Lead at AQL Technologies. 20 years of IT experience, implementing SharePoint since 2003 and Microsoft certified in several versions of SharePoint. And here's my contact information. Please go ahead and send me an email or LinkedIn invite and definitely, Twitter. And here's my blog over here. So let's get started with the webinar without wasting any time. So what are hub sites? So hub sites is a brand new feature from Microsoft, and as of today, it's been in the targeted release, and within a week or 2 days, it's going to be deployed to all the different production sites. And so let's talk about what it is. It brings together modern team and communication sites into a centralized place. Only available for SharePoint Online as of right now. It lets you modify information architecture easily by associating similar sites, and this is by far one of the biggest abilities of SharePoint Hub Sites. It lets you reorganize, it lets you associate several different sites together under one single hub, and we're going to take a look at that in a second. Not available by default to implement, and it requires SharePoint administrators to create these hub sites, and after that only those designated individuals can associate sites to the SharePoint hub sites. So this is the information architecture that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and implement this in my site right now. So the yellow sites are communication sites. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different communication sites, which are part of the AQL core practice. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this information architecture using SharePoint Hub Sites and associate these 4 yellow sites to AQL core practice, which is the hub site in itself. So I'm going to associate these subsites. I'm sorry if I just said hub sites. I'm going to associate these subsites, these site collections, which are communication sites, to AQL core practice hub site. So this is just a communication site that I have set up, and I have the hero Webpart over here, and I have just dropped down some pictures over here which relate to the different practices that we have at AQL Technologies, which is SharePoint, Office 365, Dynamics CRM, .NET practice, Power BI practice. And so this is just a communication site and nothing more than that. As of right now, it's not even a hub site. But what I want to do is that I want to make this as my hub site, and then I want to associate these other communication sites, which is AQL SharePoint practice, AQL Power BI practice, AQL Dynamics CRM practice, AQL .NET practice, and AQL Salesforce practice over to this AQL Practices hub site itself. So let's go ahead and take a look at how I do that. The first thing that needs to be done requires administrator to set up the site as a hub site, and that can be done only by using SharePoint Online Management Shell as of right now. And the first thing that the admin needs to do, and again, this is something that an end user cannot do, an admin needs to connect using SharePoint Online Management Shell and then write down some PowerShell commands. And the first PowerShell command is really very easy. It needs to register. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this right here. This is actually just register to register the hub site. Now I need the URL of the hub site. So let's go ahead and copy the URL right from here and paste it right here. I'm going to take out the page up in the URL and just keep it focused till the site itself, which is aqltech.sharepoint.com/team/about AQL practices. Hit on enter, and it's going to prompt me for principals. So principals is pretty much literally the people who will have the designated users who are going to have access to associate sites over to this hub site. As of right now, I'm just going to go ahead and just hit on enter. That's all I'm going to do. And it tells me that, hey, you know what? Your hub site is all ready. So this is all that an administrator needs to do. After that, from here, the users can just refresh, can actually go back to the hub site, and over here up in the top, you see now there's a global navigation which has been added. And global navigation is one of the most important things, which actually comes with a hub site. It provides a global navigation where you can actually enter the URLs of all the different sites that you want to have. So far, I have not associated any hub sites. I'm going to start messing with the navigation first, and then I'm just going to have navigation of URLs of all the different sites. One of the things that I have seen, I'm not sure if this is a bug or something, but the first time that you try adding a link in here, doesn't work. So just enter something dummy in there, and then the second one has got to be a valid. So I'm going to copy the URLs of the sites that I want to associate to this hub site, and then start with the navigation. Keep in mind that I'm still not associating any sites. I'm just adding global navigation, and this global navigation can just be any site that you want, not even SharePoint site. It could be just Microsoft.com as well. But as of right now, I'm just going to go ahead and add the URLs of the sites that I want to associate with this hub site. Second one is Power BI. Third one is just copying the URLs from here. Third one is Dynamic CRM. Fourth one is .NET. And that's pretty much what I have over here. I have 4 different sites, and I have added that to the global navigation. Now let's go ahead and do the association. So I go back to the first site that I want to associate, which is AQL SharePoint Practice, and all I gotta do is click on this link over here and click on site information. And now there's a hub site association over here, and this will show you the list of all the different subsites, all the different hub sites which are available. I'm going to go ahead and choose AQL Practices and hit on save. And now I'm going to do the same thing to all these different sites, which is just click on site information, AQL Practices, hit on save, go to the next one, on save, and the .NET Practice, hit on save, and here I have all these different sites which have been associated with my hub site. So the first thing that you're going to realize is the theme has changed. Before it was just white and blue theme, but now since these sites have been associated with the hub site, and the hub site had the black and yellow theme, now you're going to see that all these different associated sites now have the black and yellow theme, and all of them have got the navigation up in the top as well. So which you can see that all of them are actually inheriting the navigation from its parent. I'm adding a logo now to my hub site, and I click on change, and then this box pops up. Hit on AQL, hit on open, and hit on save. And this adds a logo up in the top on the left hand side, and this logo is going to be part of all the different sites. And I can go to these associated sites, and if I try changing the theme over here, like change the look by clicking on change the look here, it tells me that, hey, change the look, current theme, your site is associated to, or your site is connected to AQL Practices hub site and is set to automatically adopt the same theme. So you cannot really change the theme in any way if the site is associated site of a hub site. No matter what, it always inherits the theme from the hub site. Also, on the global navigation, there are 3 levels of navigation that I can have, and I can show that to you real fast. If I have Microsoft.com, there might be type in there, but I'm not going to click on the link anyway. So Microsoft right here, and underneath Microsoft, if I want to go ahead and create, a couple other options like Windows, Azure.com, and Windows Azure, and have it another one which is machine learning. And now I can actually make them as sublinks of each other. And when I click on save, you're going to see that now I have 3 level of navigation in the global nav of the hub site. So up in the top in the navigation, I can add as many sites as I can, and they're not really associated. They would not in any way also be associated in to the hub site. They could be just any sites over here. Also, I think I just added the logo to the site, but if I want to add the logo to the hub site, then I got to click on the hub settings over here and then upload the logo. Click on it, hit on save. And here I have the logo, and the logo is actually in the global navigation over here. So the last time I think that I actually chose site information, and then I added the logo over here, which is actually only for the site. If I add the logo from the hub site settings, the logo gets added up in the nav bar, which I can see in all the other subsites and all the other associated sites as well up in the nav bar itself. So you can see that these hub sites are a pretty big game changer. The real ability is their simplicity, is by just removing a rigid structure, which we at times have experienced in our intranets using SharePoint Classic site hierarchies. Communication sites and hub sites are all site collections. So it's got to be a site collection. You can associate a classic site also, or you can actually make a classic site also a hub site, and you can associate a classic site also to an existing hub site, but there's a little differences when it comes down to how the top level navigation and how the theming works, and we're going to look into that in a second as well. Along with the teams, communication sites, and custom build publishing portals, hub sites add a tool which adds value to both small and the large intranets. Advantage of the hub site is the ability to connect and disconnect sites from various hubs. And you have seen how I've just added that. This will provide some flexibility to your intranet's information architecture and will allow you to change things quite easily should you go through a major organizational change. Hub sites are not available by default. To implement, a SharePoint administrator, as I have shown you, has to actually create a hub site. Existing modern and communication sites can be converted over to the hub sites, and that's really what Microsoft recommends. Microsoft recommends to make an existing communication site, or the emphasis is actually on the modern sites, to make modern sites as the hub sites instead of classic sites. So I think we just went through this demo, and let's go ahead and take a look at this architecture, at this information architecture over here. So if I actually have several different hub sites, and this is the one that I just created, AQL Practices or AQL Core Practice. And as of right now, this AQL Core Practice is associated with MS Dynamics CRM, with Power BI, with SharePoint, and with .NET. So let's just say that there's another hub site which is just AQL CRM Practice, and this hub site, or this hub, is actually associated with 3 different modern sites: SAP CRM, Oracle NetSuite CRM, and Salesforce. So AQL does, AQL has definitely got focus on the CRM practice, and we end up doing SAP CRM, Oracle, and Salesforce. But of course, Dynamics is our core, so that's the reason it's part of this hub. But down the line, if I want to change this architecture, I can do that very easily. It only takes me, all I got to do is I got to go to this MS Dynamics CRM site and then associate this over to the AQL CRM practice hub site. So let's go ahead and do that. So here I am on the AQL Dynamics CRM, and I click on site information, and you can see that it's associated with AQL Practices. Click on this, and I can associate that to AQL CRM Practice, which is another hub site. And before I click on save, I want to show you that hub site also. So let's go to AQL Dynamics CRM, which I believe is this one over here. Yes, so AQL CRM Practice hub site. So you can see that the theme has actually changed as soon as I associated this to a different hub site. So which means that from this I went to this. Going back again. So this is how it was before, which is Microsoft Dynamics CRM communication site associated with AQL core practices, and very easily I was able to go ahead and change it to the structure where now MS Dynamics CRM is associated with AQL CRM practice. And it follows the same theme. Of its parent practice, which is AQL CRM practice right there. Just one thing to bear in mind is after you have associated a site to a hub site, and if let's just say the top navigation doesn't change, or the theme doesn't change, or if you have uploaded a hub site logo up in the top and that hub site logo has not yet been updated on the associated sites, don't panic. Seems that there are some timer jobs behind the scenes which have to run, and those timer job updates, all of these. So it could be number one that, and I have seen those timer jobs actually take quite some time at times, even like a couple hours. Number two, it could be a caching thing as well. The theme might just be cached, so try opening it up in another window, or might be in a browser, or might be in the incognito mode, and you will see that it just refreshes up. Now let's go ahead and do another demo, but this time we're going to use a classic site as a hub site instead of one of the modern sites. Now Microsoft recommends, as I said before, select a communication site or a team site that uses the new template is the recommended practice. If you use a classic team site, the hub navigation will appear only on the modern pages, and the hub site settings will only appear on the modern pages and nothing other than that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So here's my classic team site. It's not a hub site yet. I'm going to go ahead and make this a hub site. The same thing, which is I got to open up, and this is again something that an administrator needs to do. Log in into the SharePoint Online management shell and then run the register-SharePoint Online hub site command with the URL of my classic site. As soon as I do that, it's going to ask me for the principals again. Hit on enter, and hey, this site is already a hub site. Okay, you know what? I think that I made this a hub site in the past itself. But the thing is that you can see that if I refresh this page, there is no global navigation up in the top. There are no changes over here, and the reason primarily because this is the classic look and feel. If you want to have the global navigation is going to appear only on the modern pages, so you need to end up creating a modern page in your classics. I'm going to navigate over to and end up creating a page. I believe I already have a page which is a modern page. Scroll down, click on site pages, and right here. So I know that this is my modern page that I've created in the past. I'm gonna make this modern page as a home page. Click on make home page, and here's my home page. And as soon as I do that, go back to home, and I can actually see top navigation up in the top now. So that's a global navigation up in the top, and whatever sites I've associated, or seems like in the past I've actually added some global navigation up in the top, and that's going to start appearing. I can go to a different site. So let's just say in this case it's a Salesforce communication site, and I can click on site information here and click on hub site association and click on AQL Practices classic site. So now I'm really associating a modern communication site over to a hub site, which is a classic site, and I can see that the global navigation has followed through along with the theme. Before it was white and red, now it's white and yellow. I'm sorry, white and now before I go over to the next slide, I just want to go ahead and associate my dynamic CRM site from the AQL CRM practice over to AQL practices. The reason being that I want to talk about content rollup and a couple of the things, scope search and a couple of the things. I want to talk about that. As soon as I do that, it just inherits the theme of AQL practices along with the top navigation, along with the logo up in the top, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and talk about the hub site benefits. And I see for benefits to start with the same color theme, and we have seen that several times how the same color theme benefits. It's all the sites, associated sites, as soon as you associate them over to a hub site, it's just the same universal theme across all these different associated sites. So it's almost like an umbrella of the same theme. The second one is scope search, which means that the search is very scoped. Now, no matter where you search from the hub site, no matter what you search from the hub site, the search is scoped to all the sites which have been associated with the hub site. The results are going to be returned from the sites which have been associated with these hub sites. Common navigation, we have seen that the global common navigation up in the top stays, and then the content rollup. The content rollup happens only of the news and the activities and nothing other than that. So let's go back and take a look at how that actually works. So I'm going to go back to my AQL Practices site over here and do a couple things. Scroll down first, and then here's my news web part. So let's see how the content rollup actually works. So click on news over here, and now this news web part has got another news source, which is all sites in this hub. I click on all sites in this hub, which means that now it's really getting from all the different sites which are associated with this hub. I can actually click on select sites also, which actually shows me all this hub sites, all the sites which have been associated with this hub site. So these are all the associated sites. I'm going to choose all sites in the hub site, scroll down, hit on X out, and one other change that I want to do over here is I want to scroll all the way down over here, and I want to add another web part over here, which is do a search for sites, and then you're going to see that there's a sites web part here, and I just added the sites web part, which is right here. And if I click on edit the sites web part, it again has two different options: all sites in the hub, and the second one is select sites. If this web part, or even the news web part, if these two web parts are part of any other site which is not a hub site, this option will not be there. This option is added dynamically as soon as you make the site as a hub site, which is very nice. And finally, one other web part that I want to talk to you about is the highlighted contents web part, the documents web part. Click on edit on the documents web part, and this is the highlighted content web parts. As I have mentioned in my previous webinars, this seems to be the closest web part to a content query web part for the modern sites. And when you click on the source over here, there's another new source which have been added, which you would not usually see in a modern site, which is all sites in this hub. So let's go ahead and choose that option also, all sites in this hub. X out, save and close. Click on publish, and this is what you see. So the news web part, and this is the beauty about it, it's now rolling up the content from all these different sites. All these different associated sites are now rolling up into this hub site, and I can see that. So here's my associated SharePoint site, and I have Hey AQL Staffing over here, and Donna Cardin had updated that 5 days back, and there are two views to it. On the SharePoint side, more news articles. Microsoft has renewed Gold partnership for AQL Technologies. AQL is now a Microsoft SDPC program. So all these are really being rolled up from the associated sites. This is the SharePoint side. This is the Power BI side. We're going to have a webinar pretty soon on Power BI side. Patrick Nelson certified for Microsoft Power BI. Okay. Anyways, Power BI trainings. So what I want to mention over here is that I see 4 distinct news being rolled up from 4 distinct sites, which is SharePoint, Power BI, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and I believe that there's .NET also. I don't see that, but if I click on site all, then okay, I can actually see a list of all those over here as well. I apologize, this is actually the events. Sorry, going back. When you click on see all, it's just showing you the events because it's just the one web part right underneath it. But if I click on see all over here right above news web part, then it's going to take me to the news Webpart page, which is going to show me news from all different sites, all of them. I can see Power BI, SharePoint, and if I creep Dynamic CRM, which is my third one, and the fourth one is .NET. So I see 4 different practices here, and news being rolled up from all those 4 different practices, which is awesome. Let's scroll down to the sites Webpart. So this is the sites Webpart, and I had set the data source to be this hub site, and I can actually see all the activity going on in these 4 different hubs, 4 different associated sites. If I had more sites associated with this hub site, it would show me the list of all those associated sites. As of right now, from these 4 associated sites, I can see the activity going on. Hey, you viewed introduction to or this article like an hour back, and which I did. You viewed .NET Core, and then Imran modified a certain article, and I can actually see all that activity, all the activity going on, and all the different associated sites, which is awesome. So it's rolling up the content, it's rolling up the news, as well as it's rolling up the activities from all these different sites and displaying it to me right on the hub site itself. Take a look at the documents, and the same thing over here as well. It's actually rolling up documents from all the different associated sites, .NET, SharePoint, and keep scrolling, and I can see all the different documents which have actually been rolled up. I don't think I actually have a lot of different documents. I think there are only 8 documents here. Now, usually I get this question, how about events? Are events being rolled up? No, as of right now, events are not being rolled up from associated sites to the hub sites. It's only news, documents from the highlighted content, and then activities from the sites Webpart. Same applies to search also over here. As soon as I click on search, I see the modern search over here, and which shows me the associated sites, and it shows me the news as well. And if I do a search over here, let's just go ahead and do a search on SharePoint. Now it's going to filter the search out only from the sites which have been associated with this hub site. So you can see that it's actually returning results from SharePoint and Dynamic CRM. Let's go ahead and try doing, I'm sorry, .NET Dynamics. And I'm getting results from Dynamic CRM. If I were to type in Power BI, oops, then you can see that it's actually getting those results right from Power BI itself. So far, going back to what we have just seen, the big benefits is same color theme, scope search, and we have seen how the search is scoped to only the associated sites, and that's a very good thing, I think. Common navigation and content rollup. Again, on the content rollup side, we have seen that content is being rolled up for the news, for highlighted contents Webpart, and for the sites Webpart, which are these 3 Webparts right here. Sites Webpart, highlighted content, and news Webpart. These get impacted as soon as you make the hub site, as soon as you make a modern site or a site collection as a hub site. Also, what you could do is, so I have this diagram here where I have the global navigation, and we create the global navigation with SharePoint, .NET, Power BI, Dynamic CRM, Salesforce, and you can add, we added Microsoft also in there, and you can pretty much just add as many sites as you want. The global navigation is just a static site, so you can add as many sites as you want, but that does not in any way impact the content rollup. And the content rollup is only when you associate the sites with the hub site. And all I did was I associated SharePoint, .NET, Power BI, and Dynamic CRM over to my hub site, and the content is being rolled up only from these and not from Salesforce. So if ever you wanted to do that, just keep in mind that, hey, you can add as many sites in global navigation up in the top, but the content is not going to be rolled up from that. So if you want to make the most out of your hub sites, then here are a few points. Give it a hub site name and common logo. Edit the global navigation bar. Use this site theme. Use news Webpart. Use sites Webpart. Use highlighted content. Once you are using this, then you can actually roll up all the content. You can actually have scope search and all the different things that you can actually do with hub sites are all these features that you see right here. For the SharePoint admins out there, if you want to look at the PowerShell commands that you need to use to enable SharePoint Hub Sites, then here it is. Connect-SPO service, which is actually for connecting to SharePoint Online, and then register basically registers, basically makes a hub site, basically creates a hub site out of a site collection. And then if you want to go ahead and grant more users, like in my case, I did not associate anybody to, I did not explicitly associate any user to have permissions to add to associate sites to a hub site. But if you wanted to do that, then you can actually use this command, which is grant-spo hub site rights, and then specify the URL and then the email. If you want to unregister a hub site, then here's an easy command: just unregister SharePoint Online hub site and specify the URL. So let's go ahead and talk about different approaches for giving users permissions for associating sites to a hub site. As of right now, when I created my hub site, I really did not explicitly add or give any user explicit permissions to associate sites, and we can go back and take a look. So this is pretty much the command that I ran up in the top, and there's this principles that pops up. There's this principles that pops up in the top over here. I really did not specify anybody over there, and you can see that on the permission side, nobody specified here. So there are three different ways of giving users permissions, and without going in a lot of details, and this is more for admin stuff, but definitely impacts end users as well. The first way to do it is just like the way I have done it. As soon as you register and you don't really specify any kind of principles, at that time, as for Microsoft, anybody and everybody who's got site owner permissions, they can associate the site collections, they can associate the modern sites with this hub site. So, which means that anybody in your organization can do that. The second approach is a little more controlled approach, where I specify only those people who will have permissions to add to associate sites to a hub site. And let me go ahead and show how that's done. So here's a pretty basic PowerShell command that I have, and this is grand dash SBO subsite rights, and all it does is it lets you give users permissions. So over here, what I'm saying is that for this hub site, and right next to the identity, you can see the URL, and this is my AQL Practices hub site. And right next to the principals over here, dash principals, I'm specifying two email addresses over here, Donna Cardin and Larry Bannon. What I'm saying is that only these two guys, only these two will have permissions to add sites, to associate sites to my hub site. And as soon as I do that, I hit on enter. First time it errored out because I had a typo in the name for Larry, and then I fixed the last name, and here it is. So it shows me a list of all those users who have permissions: Samir, Imran, Donna, and Larry. So these four users, only these four users have got permissions to associate sites to the hub sites. So this is the second approach that we just. The third one is adding a mail-enabled security group. So this is a feature of Active Directory, of the Azure Active Directory, and within there, the administrator can create a security group. And so these are dynamic security. These could be dynamic security groups, and all you gotta do is you gotta use PowerShell, just like the way I've done it, and configure the hub site, to actually have permissions to just the security, the Active Directory security group. And now this Active Security group can have several different users, 1 to 1,000 users, and the SharePoint admin doesn't have to come back and run the same PowerShell command like I just did, which is adding users every single time. All they gotta do is once the principal is associated with the Active Directory security group, then anybody in Active Directory, they can just go and then add the users to the security group. So now let's go ahead and talk about SharePoint Hub Sites on the mobile platform. And I just took a couple of screenshots over here, and this is how it looks like on my iPhone. It shows me a list of all the articles, and pretty cool. It's impressive, but just keep in mind that if you don't have the latest version of SharePoint app on your cell phone, it's not going to have support for hub sites. So make sure that you actually update your SharePoint mobile application. In my case, on my cell phone, I couldn't see the hub sites. I updated the SharePoint mobile app, and after that I could actually see the hub sites. And when I click on the menu over here, then it actually shows me right this menu here, which is the menu, the global navigation menu: Salesforce, Dynamics CRM, Power BI, Microsoft, SharePoint.NET, or anything that I need, which is pretty cool. So some limits to hub sites: there's a limit to everything. Changes to global navigation might even take up to 2 hours to reflect in associated sites, and this has happened to me in the past. And when I was doing the live demo, this did hit me as well. Classic Experience SharePoint sites that are associated with the hub site will retain the original theme. Users can create maximum 50 hub sites for an organization. Multi-geo hub sites are not supported at this point in time. One hub site cannot be joined to another hub site. Sites that are already associated with another hub site cannot be converted to a hub site, which makes sense. Let's go ahead and talk about one of the most commonly asked questions, which is permissions. Permissions, content types, site column rollup, and hub sites as intranet page. So here's the thing. Let's talk about permissions. Are there any rollup of permissions? So I have all these associated sites, and does the permissions roll up from these associated sites to the hub site? No, that's not the case. Whatever you have in there is no roll up of permissions. Whatever permissions you have in the subsite and the associated sites, it just sticks. If the user could not see documents in one of the sites, they still would not be able to see the documents library in that specific site. And the others, if they have permissions, they can see permissions. So there is no change to the permission structure over here. Content type / site column rollup, how does that affect? Now, there is no change to that as well as of this version, which is in April 2018. There is no change to that as well. Content types and site column rollup does not happen. Whatever content types and site columns are there within these associated sites, they stay within that associated site itself, and none of that is rolled up to the parent site. And finally, hub site as an intranet homepage. I usually get this question: hey, can this hub site replace my current organizational portal? Can I make this as my homepage? So what I think is that, so if you have a portal that includes customizations beyond the web parts and extensions that SharePoint framework supports, then keep using SharePoint publishing infrastructure, which is fully supported both in SharePoint Server on-prem and SharePoint Online. Hub sites are designed are to really let you dynamically organize, closely related sites, bringing together similar projects and presenting common activities. But if you have, an intranet which is not that complex, then I think that you might as well, get away with making a SharePoint hub site as the home page. The news will be security trimmed. The subsites will just, get a global navigation and theme, and also your searches go for all those sites as well. But now, if you're talking about something a little more complex, then I might not recommend that. So let's talk about two different scenarios where hub sites, for an intranet with each department being a site collection itself. So each department is a site collection, and now what you want to do is that you want to create a hub site which becomes the organizational homepage, and the organizational homepage, associates to all these different site collections which are departments. The second option is making each department a hub site and having several different site collections underneath those hub sites. So IT department can have, IT department is now the hub site, and it has several different site collections underneath it, which are the associated sites. So option one versus option two, I would prefer option two, where you don't really make the home page as the hub site, but you make all these department, each of the department becomes its own hub site, and all the site collections are associated with this hub site for each single department. This would just give you, I believe that it would just give you, just a lot more scalability. And also, let's not forget that the real power of hub site is it's easy to move them around. So let's just say if you start with the first option, which is each department is a site collection, and the home page is a hub site which is associated with all these different departments. And if you outgrow the structure, the information architecture, then yeah, you know what, you could actually just go ahead and change that information architecture, and move over to the second option, where now these site collections are where every department is just not a site collection, but every department is a hub site in itself, and all the different projects, all the different site collections associated with that department are part of the department hub site. Main features to consider are navigation, highlighted content, search, news and themes. With each department being in its own hub site, you can have different themes, its own news, its own navigation, and search can be scoped to only the department. So it's really what you want: simple intranet versus complex intranet. So frequently asked question, I just have one question over here, but I'm going to post a lot of questions that I have just answered onto my blog, so please keep an eye on my blog. When can I expect to see SharePoint hub sites appear in my Office 365 tenant? So as of today, which is April the 29th, it's in targeted release, and the targeted release is moving over to production. So I think that within a week or 2 weeks, it should be actually deployed to all the production site. After the production sites comes the government cloud, which is the GCC cloud, so which might be another month or so before hub sites are deployed to GCC. As far as SharePoint on-prem is concerned, I don't think this is going to be part of SharePoint 2016. It might be part of SharePoint 2019, and hopefully it is. I just added a few more questions to the FAQs over here. Can I control the news that is rolled up, like somehow promote some versus the others? That's not possible. As of right now, all of them seems to be rolled up. There's no way that I can actually apply any kind of filters or criteria to promote news coming from certain sites, certain associated sites versus the others. So that's not possible. Can I associate a sub-site within a site collection to a hub site? No, that's not possible. The focus is entirely on site collection, so you would be associating site collection. So may it be, as we all know, that a hub site has to be site collection, a modern team site is a site collection, a modern communication site is a site collection. So if you want to associate a sub-site of a site collection to a hub site, that's not possible. If it's a classic site collection, you're going to associate the entire site collection over to the hub site. is there any approval mechanism to who can add to a subsite and who cannot? So is there an approval mechanism to who can add a subsite and who cannot? So sorry, I just repeated the question twice. So the answer is yes, it's actually what I had just shown in the past, which is these three: option number one, option number two, and option number three. Add all site owners, so which means that as soon as the site collection admin is associating a site, if he does not enter any kind of principals, then pretty much everybody who's a site owner can associate a site to the hub site. The second is add users explicitly, which is I explicitly add or the SharePoint admin explicitly adds like 4 or 5 different users or as many users as you want, or to and give them permissions to associate sites to this hub site. The third one is add a mail enabled security group, which is it's got to be an Active Directory security group which has been associated to the hub site, and anybody who's part of the Active Directory security group will have permissions to associate sites. Can I give everyone access to adding sites to a hub site? Yes, that's possible. That's option number one that I just mentioned. Can I roll up events from associated sites to hub sites? No, that is not possible. As of right now, only the news and the activities are being, and the search is integrated, but news and activities are being rolled up from subsites over to the hub site. How hub sites are different from communication sites? So yeah, that's I've talked about in the past. I've had several webinars on communication sites versus modern team sites. So there's a big difference. Even though hub sites are supposed to be a site collection as well, and a hub site is really going to be, as per Microsoft recommendations, a communication site or a modern team site. So they're similar in that sense, but both of them are site collections. So in a literal sense, they are a collection of sites, but each site that is joined to a hub is itself a site collection. So each site has its own security and isolated content. The hub allows pieces to be shared across the members. And after making a site a hub site, content from all these communication sites or modern team sites are actually being rolled up, over to the hub site. So thank you so much, guys, for watching my webinar here. And I have so this is my webinars. We actually do webinars every 3 to 4 weeks. The next one, so SharePoint Hub Sites is actually done, and then what's going to follow is might be a modern UI versus classic UI or some of these others. Also, AQL is going to be at the following webinars in 2018. The next one is the following conferences. The next one is SharePoint Saturday Chicago, which is May the 5th, and after that is the SharePoint Las Vegas conference. We are one of the sponsors at all of these different, usually a gold sponsor, and we give out a free pass also. So please be connected so that we can notify you when we're giving out these free passes. These free passes are usually worth $1,400 that we give it out just for free. Finally, guys, please add webinars at aqltech.com to list off your safe senders so that you're notified of our webinars, conferences, and can also enroll in AQL's free giveaway of 3-day conference passes worth $1,400. Thank you so much for attending my webinar. Have a nice day. Bye.